but St. Nick to the rescue. He did it again. Is this are we going to buy into this? And if he does continue this magical run, although things are going to be tough this week in going down to Orleans, but
I'll say
if he does pull it off, do we have a quarterback controversy in Philadelphia? Because I don't think the town's big enough for two. Again, having
he's
a situation.
He's not going to come back as a backup.
No, not now.
I don't think you have a controversy because of what the salary demands of both would be, and the fact that, you're right. He's not going to come up as a backup, and I just think you've got too much invested for what you gave up in Carson Wentz. And Wentz was an MVP candidate before he got injured 2 years ago. So I just think, hey, Foles is a very talented quarterback. I think he'll have an opportunity if it's in Arizona or the Giants or the Jags or another team. He's auditioning for all those teams. Earlier in the year, when I think when there was instances where Wentz was out, I thought he struggled a little bit. So, hey, he relishes the spotlight. He played a phenomenal game yesterday. The Bears were in a position to win the game, and they didn't. But I don't think that we have a quarterback controversy. I think it's Wentz moving forward, and Foles will be taking snaps from somebody else next year.
I would agree with that. So let's look ahead to this weekend, and we'll get maybe a little bit of a decision on the early action that's taking place and Chuck's views on what might take place on the field. And we begin with the Colts taking on the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, of course, heading toward the MVP. He's the favorite right now along with Drew Brees. And that voting is closed, but he'll have a chance to now make a statement in the playoffs. Not going to be easy. I mean, I think they're facing the team they'd probably like to face least of the one. They would have rather faced Houston than Indianapolis.
Well, I don't think they'd want to face San Diego. I don't think they'd want to face the LA Chargers either. But you're right. I mean, you look at those two offenses, and I don't think we're going to see a 16-15 game in this matchup on Saturday. I think you're going to see a lot of points scored. Between the two quarterbacks combined, 89 touchdown passes. I don't think anybody wants to face the Colts right now. I think the Colts have a huge edge on the defensive side of the ball. Granted, they're going to have to win another road game here. Kansas City's lost 3 of their last 6 games. That defense is ranked 32nd, but that offense is lights out. And, these two teams played a fun playoff game a few years ago, guys, where the Chiefs were way up and the Colts, with Luck and T.Y., came roaring back. So I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. But, again, with the highest total on the board of these 4 games, I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. Chuck, I really do.
Is this going to be one of those games where the house is saying, okay, Kansas City, win the game, but don't cover? Because you got to think the Colts are going to get a lot of money line draw.
Oh, yeah, I think they absolutely are. I think that clearly may be the case. It wouldn't surprise me to see this number come down a little bit. And as you mentioned earlier, those first-year quarterbacks in a playoff game, this is Mahomes' first, big start in a postseason game as well. It's a big stage. Nothing seems to bother this kid.
Nope.
I think he is clearly the MVP. I thought it was wide open going into the last maybe 4 or 5 weeks of the season with Drew Brees, but I think it's Mahomes. But he still is a very young quarterback, and they have had some struggles of late. And this is a team that has lost 3 of their last 6 games. So you have to think that Indy and that defense and the way Luck is playing right now and Mack is running the ball gives them a chance.
Going to the late game on Saturday, Chuck, we've got Dallas traveling to L.A. to play the Rams. You got to start talking right now.
Who's going to have more fans in the stands?
Oh,
it's going to be an enormous Dallas turnout.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at this one, you talk about nobody wants to play Indianapolis right now. Dallas is playing good football right now, as you said, with all of the things that you're doing. And when you've got a good running game like they have with Zeke Elliott and then, of course, with Cooper, we saw the way the Rams struggled down the stretch. Do you think we're going to – sitting at 7, if this moves either direction, I think it's more likely to go to 6.5.
I thought that at first, Marco, but I'm thinking it's more likely to go to 7.5. I just think that you look at the two home teams in the NFC, and they're going to be well rested. I think from the offensive side of the ball, they're far superior to the team that they're playing. And you're right, it could go down. I'll be happy to root for it in any of these 4 games, whoever we need. But I think you look at that Ram team, and they have such potential to explode. I just don't see the Cowboys in a shootout type game. I think that defense is really going to have to step up. and I think Elliott and company are going to have trouble running the ball against the Rams. So you really need Prescott to play another big game. But I think it has a tendency maybe to go up before it comes down, but I could be mistaken.
All right, Chargers and Patriots get the Sunday action started. And look, I know that it's not like the old days in terms of travel. It's a lot better now for the players in terms of the chartered flights, and they make things as comfortable as possible. But it's still back-to-back East Coast swings with a trip back home in between for the Chargers. That's not a real favorable scheduling setup, and they're going against the ultimate veteran team as far as the playoffs are concerned. At least on paper, to me, that looks like advantage Patriots.
I think it is advantage Patriots, Dave, but I don't think it bothers the Chargers. I think they're kind of relishing the role right now of being these underdogs and having to travel to Baltimore, 6-hour flight back to California and then back east again. They're really undefeated on the road. Their only loss is that home game against the Rams in their own stadium. So I think, they might be the best team in the AFC. I think, on a neutral field, the Patriots definitely aren't a 3-point favorite in my money. I think it's closer to pick. I think you saw this number come down initially. The Patriots have some question marks with Patterson. Yeah. We know Gordon's not there. They use White out of the backfield a lot. Gronk hasn't looked the same. I think you're going to continue to see Charger money here, and I think in both AFC games, you're going to see some serious money line play and point spread play on both underdogs, at least what I've seen early on so far.
Chuck, in the late game on Sunday, when you've had a first meeting that was as one-sided as this one was, are you going to get people that are going to try to, it's hard to beat the same team twice in the same season? They took them out behind the woodshed, and it wasn't even close. You're sitting, most of the books around town are sitting at 8. I honestly thought this would be one of those ones where you would get to 9 right away to do the teaser blocker.
Come down from where it opened.
I think that's the case. I think we will see it go up. I think now, though, when you've got, you're right about the Saints. And I think you saw Trubisky, as Dave mentioned earlier. I was a little worried about him, but I think once he settled down and had to throw the ball, I thought he did really well. Yes. I mean, they did everything they were supposed to do in a playoff game for a young team to win that game, and they just didn't. He threw for over 300 yards. And you look at Breeze and company and the carpet, it sets up really well, I think, for that offense. But New Orleans hasn't played great over the last month of the season. They really didn't blow anybody out. Breeze statistically had 4 really bad weeks to kind of finish the season before he didn't play in week 17. So you have to look at the defending champs who have won 4 in a row, needed help, have done everything they're supposed to do. Were the biggest dog this past weekend and went into Chicago and won, a Bear team that only lost 1 game at home all year. So as much as my initial thought was this game's going to go up, it's not going to surprise me if it comes down a little bit, because what team can be looser right now than the Eagles? Nobody.
Chuck, you know what this kind of reminds me a little bit about last season? You had the Rams that just rolled all season long. Then they took week 17 off. Did the Saints peak too soon?
They may have. I think offensively they did. They were not the same offensive team, guys. They had those 3 road games where they played. They really struggled at Dallas and at Tampa. They really struggled in that stretch. And then even when they came home, they didn't look like the same team. But I think rest with Kamara and Ingram is going to do that team well. They're still on that carpet. I think they're the best team in the NFC right now, and I think they might be the best team in football. But they may have peaked a little early offensively. But that's why we play the games, and the number's the ever equalizer, and we'll see how it all plays out. But I'm looking forward to watching all 4 of these games this weekend, guys.
The marbles on the line tonight. Clemson and Alabama again for the national championship. What's happening with the betting on this one? Is this going to be a real good two-way game for the house?
I think so. We're in good shape overall in the future book, because usually when you've got the 2 teams playing in the national championship or any big game that had short odds during the season, guests are looking more for value, so there wasn't a lot on Clemson and Bama during the season. Early push was clearly on Clemson. Late push has been on Bama, guys. I think at 6, of course, it creates a tremendous amount of value on Clemson. When the number got down to 4, 4.5, you saw some buys down to 4 or 3.5. Tremendous value on Bama. Bama. It's kind of sitting in that dead range of 5.5. But overall, it's been just a really, really good handle on tonight's championship game.
Who do you think's going to win?
I'm happy to root for whoever we need, but I favor Bama a little bit. I just think that Saban will have a lot dialed up as far as blitz packages go, and I think on the back end, you saw Notre Dame try to blitz a lot and cause some havoc back there, and they did for a half. But on the back end, their cornerbacks and linebackers weren't nearly as good as what you have for Alabama. So I think that's the difference in the game. I think quarterback play. I think Tua didn't get the Heisman. I think he plays a big game. I think Bama wins the game tonight, guys.
Chuck, real quick, are you seeing the betting as far as the money line the way you would see on a Super Bowl, the money line coming in on the dog and presenting some value for the Alabama backers to go that way?
Absolutely, Marco. Absolutely. Yep. I think if you like Clemson in this game, a lot of people feel that they can win the game. And, I've talked to people who think they're clearly the better team. You absolutely are very similar to what you'd see in that big football game where many times you've got a point spread play on the favorite and a lot of dog money line play on the underdog.
Of course, Club Madrid, when they had the viewing parties, is absolutely amazing. We want to talk about the Golden Knights, who are red hot right now on their next viewing party at Sunset Station. And tell us what's happening tonight.
Tonight, we're really relying on the book tonight. We had viewing parties this past weekend, guys, both Saturday and Sunday for football. We're doing it again, both this upcoming Saturday and Sunday for football. We got cool giveaways and jerseys and great food and beverage specials, and it's free and open to the public, as always. Tonight will be a packed race and sportsbook, though, where, we already see a lot of people out there ready to have some fun and enjoy the game. Our next Golden Knights viewing party is on the 15th against Winnipeg, and then Super Bowl Eve on the 2nd, we have one as well. So if you haven't come out, come on out, have some fun. They're always free and open to the public. If you can't get here, and we love when the guests come out, just come on in. We'll get you signed up for STN Mobile, either the race or sports side. And, man, you are at the 50-yard line, the finish line, center court, wherever you want to be when you've got that mobile app. So we'll get you signed up in a matter of minutes, guys.
There you go. And you'll even have a perfect view when the Golden Knights score another empty net goal to cover the puck line. Oh, they
Thanks for rubbing that in. I appreciate it.
Hey, they didn't yesterday. They didn't.
Only because of the penalty.
That is true. That is true.
Or they probably would have.
Well, I thought Reeves, I don't know, the puck just got away from him and went over the glass. Because when he shot it, it's like, oh, that's going in. There's an empty net goal. Yeah. And the thing just kind of took off. But, boy, I'm telling you, they're hot right now, Chuck. They're getting serious as far as contending again goes.
Yeah, I think when you look at the Pacific, they win the Pacific and they're able to, draw one of the two wild card teams. It sets up so much better for them because you look at some of the other teams and what their strengths are. As we talked about early on, guys, the second half of the season, everything changes. Yep. You have a lot more conference games, a lot more division games. It's a 4-point swing. And although the schedule was not favorable to the Knights early on, it is in the second half of the season. So if you're going to get hot, as we talked about with the Saints, maybe peaking early, you'd rather get hot during the second half of the season. They're getting a little healthier, and that home ice advantage at T-Mobile is really shining through once again this year.
Sure is. Chuck, it's always a pleasure. Have fun tonight.
All right. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the game.
Don't forget to get out to Sunset Station. And one of the real cool things about the betting app there's a couple of cool things. First of all, for horse racing, if you want to watch the races you're betting on your phone, you can stream them. If you make a $10 bet, you can stream the races. And in addition to that, of course, rewards points for every bet you make.
They're best in town as far as for the horse comps with what they're doing. That's where I play.
Nice stuff at Sunset Station and all the station casino properties around town. We'll come back. We'll get started on some other stuff for tonight, including the MJ Christensen 4-4 coming up next.
The Las Vegas Sports Line.
Everyone knows that even good people fall on hard times. Your credit cards get maxed out, and you get behind on your taxes. Unfortunately, the IRS is not as understanding, and they won't stop until they collect. They have the power to take your paycheck, freeze your bank accounts. Even your home or business could be at risk. It's simply not worth it to take on the IRS by yourself. You need to call the experts at Optima Tax Relief. When you call, be sure to ask about the Fresh Start Initiative. It's a special IRS tax debt assistance program that could save you thousands, even tens of thousands. Optima will immediately provide you with a team of professionals who could protect you from the IRS, ensuring that you get the best possible outcome. The Better Business Bureau has awarded them an A+ rating, and you will too. So put the hard times behind you and call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922. Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Credit products are made by WebBank. Rates and terms vary based on credit history. Amazon is not a sponsor of this promotion. Other restrictions apply. See website for details.
How did I get into credit card debt? A trip to the emergency room.
Car repairs.